Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm speaking with Jacob Betts of the American Hotel System. The band has just shared their new album titled Interrobang, and I am super excited to talk to them all about it. Jacob, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
I am super happy to have you because this record is awesome. I mean, I could think of a million different awesome describers, but it is great. And I'm just going
Thank
to
you.
kick things off by saying I hope everyone listens to it, but I also need a background on it.
Yeah.
So, to kick it all off, I'd love to know what is it about? Is there one succinct message you're trying to come across, or is it a series of, small individual stories?
Definitely. So, in Terabang, the whole concept behind the record started probably 5 years ago.
Wow.
And even honestly, the idea of having an album with little nostalgic kind of throwback narrative tracks
Yeah.
goes back probably 8 years ago to a conversation I had with a friend from college. We were studying at 3 a.m. We were music majors,
Okay.
studying at like 3 a.m. at a coffee shop that was open 24/7. And I was like, dude, you know what would be really fun is if we made a record that was like this. And he went, yeah. And I thought, we'll never do that. And then,
Right. As most conversations at 3 a.m.,
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
talk.
exactly. And then we were working on our first EP 4 years ago,
Mhm.
almost 5 years ago. And I learned about the idea of an interrobang. That's the combination of an exclamation point and a question mark. That's on the album cover, and that it's an actual form of punctuation.
Love
It
it.
was created in the '60s
Okay.
as a marketing thing to ask a rhetorical question. So it asks a rhetorical question, like, "Oh wow, this many of this for this price?"
Sure, sure.
Yeah, it was just meant to be like a marketing thing, and
Yeah.
I thought, there is so much, loaded subtext within that idea, um, and I don't really think we're that far removed from those types of things. I just think they've become more subtle, within culture and society and
Sure.
marketing and the things I'm bombarded with every day, um, and the rhetoric that I use and
Yeah.
that I'm exposed to. So it started with the song "Loyalty" was the first song that was written on this album. I wrote the first most of that song the day after our first EP came out.
Just couldn't wait to get
Just
started
couldn't
back up
wait.
again. All right.
Yeah, yeah. I actually so I do all of our graphic design, and
Nice.
if I have an idea for a project, I actually do like concept art
Cool.
um, for like what would the record look like? What would the brand identity be for this project? Because
Yeah,
I
that's
think
so
that those
important.
things. Oh yeah, I think
Yeah,
I would argue that it's just as important as the music, in my opinion.
I fully agree. Wait, hold on. I just got to interject because this is one of my favorite things
Yeah.
to talk about. You
Mhm.
just think about music in general and iconic albums. What is the first thing you see when you listen to music? It's the album cover.
Yes,
And I feel that so
exactly.
many people just don't care. Like they just throw up
Yeah.
whatever, or it's some like stupid animated thing that has nothing to do with
Yep.
the actual music itself. Oh, thank you for actually
Get
giving a
a
shit. It
cheap
makes,
font.
yes,
Yeah.
just like, oh, I paid some guy $5 to do this and I don't really care. But it's like
Yeah.
it your name is on it. You know what I mean? It's like
Exactly.
you have to care a little bit. Okay, keep
Yep.
going on your thought. I just have to say
No, I
snaps
love
to
it,
that
man.
because it matters so much.
It does. It really does. Yeah, so I can go back and uh find the concept art for that album from like 4 years ago. I actually think I might have it on my phone here.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was working on our first yeah, here it is. Yeah, so this is from October of 2018. It's black and
Jeez.
white,
I
but
mean,
it's still
and
up
it
in the corner.
evolves as you make the music.
It
Things
does.
change.
It does. So we had this like black and white vibe at the
Awesome.
time, and I said, "Hey, let's do color." So yeah, so we released our first record in 2019, and then the
Cool.
day after that album came out is when we recorded the first notes of this record.
That's
Literally the day
awesome.
after our first album came out,
Nice.
and
So yeah, I'm gonna need you to shout out the other members of the band here
yeah,
because they deserve their credit as
they're
well.
incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, so the whole band started. We all went to college together.
Cool. Where at?
Um, we went to it's called Grace Christian University in Grand
Mhm.
Rapids, Michigan. Yeah, we were all music majors there, and with the exception of CT, our guitar player, but um, our drummer Hailey Petty. Hailey and I have played music together for over 10 years.
Damn.
Yeah, and we had a little acoustic trio in high school. With her identical twin sister.
Awesome.
And yeah, we played together. And then Samuel is one of our guitar players, Samuel Overman. He is one of the most gifted musicians I've ever met in my life. Just
Lucky to have
amazing,
them.
amazing. Oh yeah, he plays.
Yeah.
If you hear these really beautiful like legato like guitar solos,
Uh-huh.
and then any strings that you hear, that's also him.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he's our secret weapon, you know.
Yeah.
And he has a great voice too.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so we and then Jake LaMotte, our bass player, he also went to school with us.
Cool.
So we've all played music together for 8 years
Damn.
at least. All of us, just being in different groups together and different college assignments. And then our senior year, I was part of a on-campus group that was organizing like an end of the year celebration, and I thought this is the last semester of college for me. Let's make it, go out with a bang. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun um, if all of the seniors that I'm friends with, if we got together and we played a rock show together, just covering songs that we like and maybe
That's
doing a
great.
few that I had written. And we did, and we needed a name. And we have a running list of joke band names.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
you
do
know,
my friends and I.
oh yeah,
You have to
absolutely.
have if you don't have a note in your phone, even if you're in a band and you don't have a
Oh yeah,
running list of joke names, then
no,
like
come
what are
on,
you doing?
exactly. There's some great ones in there.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
They're like band name,
Yeah.
and we were driving late one night, probably 6 years ago. Um, we had had we had gone to a high school, to pitch our music program to a whole
Sure.
bunch of teenagers who didn't really care, you know. But you have to play some music, and you're like, hey, come and study,
Yeah.
and be like us. And it was a long day, and it was late driving back, and we're all in a van together, and we were coming up with funny band names, and I saw a billboard for like Holiday Inn or something like that, and I went, "Hey, what about the American Hotel?" And my friend went, "No, no, the American Hotel System." And we went,
This
"That's
is an
hilarious."
instant click.
Yeah, so we wrote it down, never thinking we would use it. And here we
And
are, like 5 EPs and 2 records later, still using it.
I love it.
So
It's
we pulled it
memorable,
out,
I will
and
say that.
yeah, thanks. Yeah,
And it also
it's a
makes you
mouthful
think.
too.
It
Yeah,
is a
it does. Yeah,
mouthful, but like no, really, like, I mean, some things are explainable. Some things are just the person's name if it's a solo project.
that's right.
Why not throw something out there that actually is like, oh, what's
What
the
does it mean?
significance? What is
Yeah,
it? Is this
yeah.
an inside joke between friends? Like
Yeah.
makes
Is
you
it a
take
political
factor.
statement? That's what I was
Could
asked. I've been
be.
asked that.
Oh, I'm
And
sure of
I
it.
think it's become allegorized
Sure,
rather
sure.
than an allegory. So,
Right.
in fact, this is Interrobang is the third project where the opening track is TAHS. Um, and it's recontextualized. I think
Cool.
the meaning of that name is recontextualized with every project, and that's kind of become the way to allegorize the name of the band
Hmm.
depending on what, era per se,
That makes
that we're
sense.
in. Yeah.
So are you guys the type of band that are always working towards the next thing? And the reason that I asked that is because you said the day after the EP got put out,
Yeah.
boom, immediately working on the next. So I have to assume maybe the same, or
Mm.
even just demos that didn't make this record.
Yeah, so a few things like that. We started recording this album 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then, if you think back 2.5 years ago, world significant event was about to start. Little did we know.
Yep.
So we recorded one single. We recorded "Loyalty,"
Okay.
and along with "Second Hand," which is like a B side to that, and then an intro track. And we had started some other things that are on there, but that was all we had finished. And then the studio that we recorded drums at had to close because of the pandemic. Um, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I can't. I
Yeah.
can't
What are
be
you gonna
here."
do?
Yeah, he could only be in business if he had clients,
Sure.
right? He had just moved, and so that was a no go, and we found ourselves um, apart for the first time in a few years, not able to even see each other,
Yeah.
which is the story of everybody. And yeah, I mean,
Sure.
I definitely want to keep in mind that, I mean, we're fortunate enough to still be able to see each other, and when
Yeah.
there's
Are
so
you
many
guys all
people
in
in
the
the
same
world.
area?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Our guitar player CT, he lives 30 minutes away, but everyone else is within 5 minutes of each other,
Oh, geez.
which is
Okay.
great.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So we recorded an EP called Postcards during 2020, because this record was on hold. That was all remote, so we zoomed and wrote over Zoom, and
Yeah.
that was really therapeutic. And then we did a live EP at a local studio once we were able to in the fall of 2020. And then last year was just spent every chance we got chipping
Yeah.
away at this. But to go back to what you asked, we're actually working on like two other projects at the moment.
Love it.
We do have a live album, like a full length live album coming out in May as well.
Okay.
That's been done for like
Sure. Sure.
six
Sure.
months, but we're just like, I don't know what to do with it. So
I
coming out in
mean,
May.
yeah, in the world of social media, it's like you have to space things out. You
Yeah.
could be sitting on 10 projects and you just be like itching to release them, but it's like,
Yep.
no, we got to have content for the next month and then
Exactly.
we got to put it out
Scheduled
slowly.
it out. Yeah.
For real though,
Um,
it's the business side of it.
Yeah, so we are working on another studio project that just some demos at the moment,
Sure.
but we also have 4 tracks that we actually had to cut from this project
Oh,
that
okay.
we're going to finish those first,
Cool.
and those are going to come out later this year, um, which that should be fun.
I have to assume because they went in a different direction than this album, like
Uh
sonically, or
no, I will say one of them is, it's probably the most unique sounding song in our discography that we've done.
okay.
It sounds, I don't know how else to describe it. It's very very cinematic,
Love it.
which I love. It's also a little more like prog rock
Oh,
than anything else we've done. So it changes tempo, and um, so I'm like, well, that's just fun. That's just got to come out. So hopefully this year. That's the plan right now.
sweet. Now, normally I don't ask questions regarding like, oh, who are your inspirations and who are your influences because it's kind of just a played out boring question.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to ask in this situation because this album is so different from anything that I've ever heard. Like, I would consider it to be a concept album.
Yes.
So, what was there a deciding factor of like, okay, we want to go in this direction and we
Mm.
want to mimic someone or channel something?
I don't recall us ever having a conversation
Okay.
specifically about that. Um, so 3 of us are really huge Switchfoot fans.
Okay, cool.
That's I mean, Haley and I's favorite band of all time. Um, and so I try to wear that inspiration on my sleeve, um, in my songwriting, and some of the more rock heavy songs. But the concept thing, I think the nearest thing that I listen to that I can compare it to is, and I am by no means comparing myself to these people, but like Pink
Totally.
Floyd and The
Yeah, yeah,
Who
yeah.
are wildly inspiring to
Yeah.
me. Um, and I love the idea of an album being a an experience that you
Yes.
sit down, you
You
hit
took the words
play.
right out of my mouth. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and the world we live in is, it's very single driven, which I think there's a time and place for that, and we've put out singles and had,
Sure.
a great time with singles, and I love that we can have access to our favorite artists like every few months rather than waiting 2.5, 3 years for a whole record to come out and then nothing.
Yep.
But I still do love, and I think there's something special about an experience of an album,
I
sitting
agree.
down and listening to as you said, the context, of the singles. I think there's nothing else like it.
I don't really even have a follow-up. Like it's you everything you just said is what I say on a daily basis at this point. It's true.
Thank you.
It's true. No, it's because I mean, yeah, this could be a whole 3-hour discussion of where the music industry is headed, and it's all
Yeah,
about keeping the momentum and okay, we'll have a song this month and a song next month, and then
yeah.
the album will come out next year and
And
blah
then
blah blah
once you
blah
have a hit,
blah.
don't release anything,
Yep,
and yeah,
just
yeah.
yep. And yeah, so I fully agree. It's like the album experience sort of feels like it's becoming a lost art, and you have to have a respect for the bands that actually take the time to create something cohesive, as opposed to just like a series of like, well, this song sounds good and this song sounds good. What if we just throw them all on an album and call it an album?
Right.
And it's an album of
And
singles,
they're
and that's
unrelated songs. Yeah, exactly.
exactly. I want callbacks from the first song in the
Yep.
ninth song. I
Yep.
want like sweeping crazy production and like I want like a musical theater-esque album,
Yes.
something that could be
Yes.
translated into like a Broadway show.
If you listen to the Deer Hunter, not Deer Hunter, but
The
the
Deer Hunter, yeah.
Deer Hunter, like
Yes.
Deer Hunter.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Huge fan of that band.
Totally.
And they totally do that. That's another inspiration that definitely was mentioned as an inspiration for this project. They're one of my favorite bands of all time.
I don't blame you, they're amazing.
And yeah, they're so good. But the idea of it, a story, and
Totally.
trying to say something with the story. And
Mhm.
for me, that was, this album filled with nostalgic callbacks to the 50s and
Yeah.
60s, and that we have pages and pages and pages of lore and
That's
story we've
awesome.
actually written, that I want to find a way to get it all out there, because it's fun. I hope some people will like it, but
Yeah, man.
it's really fun for me. Um, but the idea that, the last song on the album, Pretty Things, is inspired by C.S. Lewis, um, and a poem that he wrote called Vowels and Sirens.
Okay.
It follows the idea of this German word called Sehnsucht. It means, longing, a deep longing. The things that the things that we're always searching for in life, that we try to find significance in.
Sure.
What is the thing we want, right? It's the deep, deep longing, not just oh, I like this, or I want, food. It's
Sure.
oh, I desire fulfillment and purpose and those types of things. Um, and Lewis also talked about, Saint Suit and longing. Um, and he says something to the effect of, I'm going to paraphrase,
Sure.
that, some of us have written it off and called it nostalgia, but that would be an injustice because it wasn't actually nostalgia. If we went back and looked at the things that made us feel nostalgia, we'd find it wasn't the thing itself, it was the thing behind the thing.
Right.
And there's a line in that song that says, in the spoken word part, these pretty things aren't what set me free. They're just echoes of nostalgia. The longing of discontentment for this peace I've never
True.
had. They're temporary pleasure from the things that cause me pain. Um, and I intentionally wanted to put that song at the end because it's a little bit of like a breath away from
Totally.
the radio skits, the more rock heavy songs. It's the reflection to go, oh, this is fun and nostalgic, but at the end of the day, that's not what I'm actually desiring. I'm desiring the thing behind the feeling of the
Yeah.
nostalgia. That's what I long for.
I love that, man. That was a heartfelt answer right
Oh,
there.
thank you, thank you.
Are you guys playing shows, or is that anything that's, like, in the works or planned for this
Yeah,
year?
we just had a record release show this past Saturday.
Very cool. How did it
We
go?
are we are still reeling from it.
Awesome.
It was such a blast. We've been really fortunate to be able to play a few shows in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Especially last year, we played some really incredible just venues and spaces and festivals, and that was such a it was such um, a blessing to be able to do that when coming out of a season of like, oh yeah, no shows at all.
No, I know,
um,
yeah.
and just to be able to
Real
go,
withdrawals.
like, yeah,
Right.
just to be able to go and like be at a live venue
Yes.
and hear the bands that like opened for us,
Mhm.
like that, like, oh, that's just so good.
It's the
Yeah.
best. Very cool. I've got a couple more questions for you.
Mm,
Basically, I consider us still at the top of the year, even though we're recording this on March 1st, which is
yeah.
crazy to even say it's March.
Quarter
But
one,
quarter one, what
yeah.
are some, I suppose, lofty goals that you guys have set for yourself by the end of this year?
Mm. Oh man, lofty goals.
The ones where you're like, dang, that would be awesome if we did that.
Yeah, it would be really awesome to open for like a national act. Would be really
Yes.
sick. Um, it would be really cool to have a show sell out.
Yeah.
We've done that before,
Hmm.
but it was like last minute, like I don't know if we're gonna sell out or not, and then we did, and that felt really good. But we have a show coming up in May
Cool.
that I think just might happen, and
Very cool.
I always prefer a smaller room full
Yeah.
of people who want to be there. So yeah, I don't know, man. We have we have a handful of singles too that I'd like to come out that are not concept related or
Yeah.
concept heavy. A lot of the stuff we've done, most of the stuff we've done actually, has had some form of concept to it, and I really love that. And there'll always be a spot for that
Sure.
within our music. But there's some songs um, that aren't, and I really want to get those out there and try to find a place to put those.
Plenty of time to do so.
Oh yeah,
Nice. Okay, so my final question for you here is basically for the person that is going to discover you guys from this, for the person that's going to listen to this album for the first time, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
hi. Thank you for listening. With so many great bands out there, it's an honor that you would listen to us. And I definitely don't take that for granted. Anytime I see somebody um, choosing to listen to us, or there were some amazing shows this past Saturday that I wanted to be at.
Sure.
And those people, there were people who chose to be at our show, and that
Yeah.
is such an honor. I'm super humbled by that. Yeah, I really hope that when you listen to our music, that you feel welcome, that you feel heard and loved and seen and known, and that there's community and that there's hope. A lot of the songs that I write, most of the songs that I write, come from the darkest parts of my soul, the lowest lows, and I really have learned through the last 2 years in particular. Um, you know, no matter how dark the times may be, you're not alone, and there's still love, and you're still loved. Um, and that's really kind of the heart behind everything we do. That I want people to, all of us want people to feel belonging and loved when they, are at our show or come up to talk to us. And that's just the biggest, highest compliment that I can receive is someone coming up and saying, hey, uh, that song that you sang that you wrote when you were really depressed, that hit me. Um, yeah,
Great answer and a great interview. Jacob, I want to thank you so much for
thank you.
taking the time out of your day to do this. And I want to plug your guys' music one more time. If you didn't get it the first 10 times, the band is called the American Hotel System. The album is called Interrobang. We're going to have all the links so people can listen and share and follow along. But once again, Jacob, I thank you. This has been a fantastic
Thank you,
discussion.
Austin. Appreciate it,
You're
man.
very welcome. I hope to speak soon, and I hope you have a great rest of your day today.
You too.
Thank you very much, man. Talk to you
See
later.
ya.
Bye bye.